I'll be continuing with our exploration of various marquee menus in Maya, but I first want to just touch on one tool that is new in Maya 2012 that pertains to one of the marquee menus from the previous tutorial part. So prior to Maya 2012, I believe, we had the split polygon tool, and then they introduced the interactive split tool, which seems to have overwritten the old tool. So the new tool works in a similar way to the split polygon tool, but there's a few additional changes or features that I'm not going to get into. But I do know that some people aren't really happy with this new tool and they prefer using the split polygon tool. Now the split polygon tool isn't gone, and I'll show you how you can access either of those, either the new tool or the old tool. If you shift right mouse button in object mode with your object selected, you can see over here to the left we've got a split label, and if we mouse over here we can see that we have the interactive split tool, the new tool, and the split polygon tool, the old tool, and so we can use either of those depending on the situation that we're in or which one we prefer. So that's just to show you that the old tool isn't gone and you can pretty quickly access it right here. Okay, so we looked at quite a number of marquee menus in the perspective window, so let's look at a few marquee menus in the UV texture editor. So I'm opening up the UV texture editor here, and this isn't the best geometry, but it will serve to show some examples of how we can use the marquee menus. Again, with the right mouse button, without holding down any modifier keys, we can change our selection, our component selection type. So if we go to edge, we can select the edges in here, and if we go over to UV, we can select different UVs. Now if we go back to edge mode and hold down the shift and right mouse button, we can access some different commonly used commands. So we've got cut UVs, sew UVs, and moves and sew UVs, which can be really handy when working in the UV texture editor, as UV editing can be somewhat tedious, so it helps to have these commands that are used all the time right under our mouse tip. So we can do cut UVs, and that will cut at the edge. And if we do, let's just select this edge here, and because this is the corresponding, it's the same edge, that one is automatically selected as well. And so we can shift right mouse up to move and sew UVs, and that's connected up. And because I cut this one, I'm going to just do the same thing. Okay, and in UV mode, or with UV component mode active, we can do a similar thing with shift right mouse button. You can see we have more commonly used tools with unfold, relax, which we don't want to do, and layout UVs, which will arrange all our UVs in the 0 to 1 space here. And so you can see we can pretty quickly access some of these different tools. With the control right mouse button, we can expand our current selection to, for example, to shell. Excuse me. So if we have a few UVs selected here and we control right mouse button up to shell, it'll expand our selection to all of the contiguous UVs in our editor here. So that can be really handy, and then you can move around or rotate them around as you wish. So regular right mouse button, shift right mouse button, and control right mouse button are all really handy to use in the UV texture editor. Okay, so after we've modeled and UV'd something, we usually like to texture it. So let's go over to our Hypershade under Rendering Editors, Hypershade, and see a marquee menu in here. It's a pretty simple one that I'm going to show. If you've got something selected and you have a material you wish to apply, you can just right mouse button and come up to assign material to selection. That's a quick way to assign materials. And if you don't have anything selected, or if you had a number of objects in your scene that had the same material, you could right mouse button and then select objects with material, and that'll select everything in your scene that has that material applied to it, which can be really handy. And you can also come down to graph network. This one doesn't really have anything attached to it, or a network really. So that's the Hypershade. I'm just going to show one more in the script editor. This one's not completely amazing, but it's kind of fun. If you have a number of scripting tabs open, you can just right mouse and go next, and previous and just kind of swipe through them this way, which is kind of a fun little thing to do. So if you start using the marking menus that I've shown in this and the previous tutorial part, I suspect that you'll find your workflows to speed up considerably. It is easy to get confused whether you need to hit Shift, Control Shift, or just right mouse button when you're trying to access different options in the marking menus, but the more you use them, the more comfortable it gets, and at worst you'll just have to try 2 or 3 key combos before you find the one that you want, which can be a lot faster than hunting through the large Hotbox or going up to different icons up here. At least I find it to be that way. So this brings us to the end of our exploration of existing marking menus, but in the next tutorial I'll show you how you can create your own custom marking menus, like this one here that I've made in the south zone of the Hotbox, where you can open different windows and some commonly used commands like delete history, freeze transformations. And so thank you for watching.